Hello, hi, and welcome to another video. Welcome to the first true video of 2025. And topic I've wanted to talk about pretty much since I started on my winter break, and we've talked about it on the podcast at length for sure, but it really was driven home in the last few days, and that is the idea of, Microsoft is essentially just becoming Sega. And I think a lot of Xbox fans need to just swallow that pill and accept that that's what's happening here. And there is no going back. And there's no further evidence that I can, put forth than the fact that Forza Horizon 5 is now the next game that is losing its Xbox exclusivity. And this is a huge one. So that's what we're going to dive in and talk about today. I'm going to kind of give my opinions on it, where I think the future of the Xbox brand is going right now, and what to expect going forward, at least in my opinion. So yeah, Phil Spencer gave a couple round of interviews to a couple different podcasts in the last week. And once again, we've had other people at Microsoft come out saying, oh, this isn't what's happening and blah, blah, blah. He pretty much came out and just said again, verbatim, nothing is off the table, which basically means everything is going to eventually be multi-platform. It's over. The idea of the Xbox having a walled garden of exclusives is dead. That died. That honestly, I feel like that died with ABK going through, because they spent so much time. And when during that time, they had time to look through the numbers and everything and see hey, we are making very little when we have this acquisition, but we could make this much more by putting everything everywhere. And I think that's the smart decision going forward for them as a business. It doesn't help the brand at all for Xbox. And like I said, it presents this very weird situation where it's okay, why would I own an Xbox anymore? Why would somebody go out and purposefully buy an Xbox Series X or S right now, when that all of their games are going to inevitably come over to the competitor's platform, or the other competitor's platform come, later this year when the Switch 2 is out. So, it's crazy that this is happening. And I think one of the reasons why I held off also on making a video is I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, the first really big Xbox exclusive game to be announced, and it finally has. The initial couple games that we got that came out and came over, they're not really that big of a deal. You have stuff that's 4 or 5 years old. You got Sea of Thieves, which is an almost 6-year-old game, I believe, that basically at this point has hit its growth, needs another growth spurt, and it's going to get it got one, obviously, by being put over. But those 4 specific games, not really a big deal. Nobody really lost sleep over it. But Forza Horizon, just Forza in general, is one of Microsoft's core pillar franchises next to Halo and Gears. So it upset the Xbox community, it upset Xbox players a lot when they saw this announcement last week, that it's because I think there were a lot of people that maybe had this doubt, or maybe were this isn't going to happen. There's no way that they're going to do this. And it all was pretty much confirmed with that announcement. No, it's happening. This is real. And this is the future going forward. This is what we're going to be doing. So, it's wild. It's crazy to think about. But I think the basic thing right now that makes it a little bit different than Sega is the fact that they're committed to still making hardware, which I think the reality of that situation is they're still committed to making hardware right now. Well, it makes sense. But the minute that it becomes simply just a passion project for Phil Spencer and company, and not something that's going to continue to make money for Microsoft, I think is when they put the nail in the coffin on, we're not going to do hardware anymore. And I fully expect that to happen in the next decade. I think that you are going to get another generation of Xbox console. I think the next generation you're going to get whatever the Series X major refresh is, and then I think you're going to get the handheld that's been rumored for a while. And that's where it kind of, you kind of get this fork in the road of what's going to happen after that? I don't know. It depends on if this handheld is very successful. I could totally see a future after the next generation where it's like, okay, well, the handheld was really successful, the console wasn't, so we're going to make a Switch-like device where it's like, okay, this is kind of a Steam Deck / Switch. You know, it's meant to be a handheld. If you want to hook it up to a TV, we have a dock for that. Otherwise, all of our games are available on PC. And you can use Game Pass there. I don't think Game Pass goes away yet either. I do think one of the big things that came out while I was on break from making videos was obviously the leaked information that Microsoft wants 100 million Game Pass subscribers by 2030, which estimates right now put it at about 35, with showing that Call of Duty really didn't push the needle to get more people to sign up. And I think it's also a weird ask in the middle of a console generation to ask somebody that maybe is a PlayStation user that bought a PS5 at the beginning of the console generation, you know, hey, you can come over here and buy an Xbox and then get Game Pass and then only pay for Game Pass to play Call of Duty. That's a higher investment than I think people think. So it didn't pull those people over in the way that I think maybe Microsoft or some analysts were expecting. And I really think they honestly should have held Call of Duty being on Game Pass until the next console generation, because I think if they would have started their next system with like, hey, you get this system, you get Game Pass, you have Call of Duty day one, you don't have to buy Call of Duty anymore, I think more people would have been into that idea, and I think that would have been better for them in the long run. But to do it in the middle of a console generation where people are pretty dug into which system they're on and playing, it's not going to move the needle. Like, I don't really know anybody right now that's like on the fence for like, hey, I should get an Xbox Series X or PS5. Like, people are pretty dug in where they are, and I think it's going to stay that way because your average consumer looks at Xbox and they go, like, what's even happening there right now? Like, if you go out, if you're an average Joe and you go out to like a Walmart or a Target or something, and obviously physical media is dying in that sense, but like, I challenge you, go look at your local Walmart. Like, they still have a video game section, but of the three, the Xbox section is by far the weakest one. They just have very few games. What they do have is likely on clearance. They got a lot of digital cards, digital currency, and that's it. You probably will see a pretty large part of that aisle or a separate aisle devoted to Nintendo. And then you'll have the other half of the aisle devoted to PlayStation, where you will see more physical games. So, but yeah, it's crazy. It's weird at this time. And that's what I believe when I look at everything. If I'm looking in, my crystal ball of predictions here, I think really honestly in the next 10 years, we're looking at Microsoft pulls out of hardware completely and it's just Sega. And it's sad. I don't want to get to that point where there's no competition, but I also don't like this interim we're in right now where there really isn't competition either. Because it's like, well, yeah, we have an Xbox and we have this platform you could play our games on, or you could just go buy it anywhere else where it's like, okay, then why wouldn't I just buy it somewhere else that also has exclusive games I can't get on your platform? It's wild. It's crazy. It's a weird time for video games. Like, it really is. And it's going to be an interesting 2025. I also am putting out there, I think we're going to talk about this on the next podcast, but my prediction this year is I think at the Game Awards at the end of the year this year, Microsoft will announce and show off that handheld machine and whatever they're planning for fall 2026. I still fully believe that their hardware platform is on a 2026 fall schedule, and I don't think they're changing that. I think Sony was on a 2028 one, and I think they've moved it up to 2027. And obviously the PS5 Pro is not, it's not moving numbers probably as fast as they would like it to, but also what's out for it that really shows you why you should buy one. That's kind of my big issue there is there's the first game that I can notably say okay, this actually has a better performance if you have a PS5 Pro that I've seen is Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is out this week. So everything else, like, yeah, I mean, Last of Us, whatever, but like some of these other stuff, like it's really hard to see. So and that's also the other reason why I fully believe, like, hey, if you want the best of the best, I think that's why Microsoft didn't make a interim system this time, because they consider the interim system the PS5 Pro. So if you want the best of the best, just buy a PS5 Pro then. Like that's kind of their mantra right now. So it's a weird time, but those are kind of my predictions of Microsoft going forward. I really like to have them, have a stellar year for releases, and if they can hit these dates and these releases all year, we had that great developer direct. We have Doom in May, which is awesome. We have South of Midnight, which looks interesting. That's in April. We have that, and this is not a Microsoft Studios game, but that Expedition 33, which looks awesome. That game, out in April as well. We're right around the corner from Avowed, which will be their first like really big release of the year. It is kind of sandwiched into the month of February here, but there's a lot of big releases coming out. I mean, we have that Monster Hunter, the new Yakuza game, Kingdom Come Deliverance. Like, there's a lot of big titles hitting in the next month, but I'm very interested to see Avowed. I'm very interested to try that out. I will be playing that, and I will talk about that for sure when it hits. But I really hope they have a good 2025 software-wise. Like, they really need these titles to come out and get the kind of reviews that Indiana Jones got. So, but I'd like to know in the comments below, what do you think about Microsoft going forward? Are you somebody that primarily was an Xbox person and you find yourself kind of like, what do I do now? I mean, for me personally, like 2 years ago, I made the decision, or a year ago, I made the decision of like, I'm only going to get games digitally if I buy them on the Xbox, because it really seems like they're done with that. And then with all this coming out this year, I've kind of even switched it now to be like, I'm probably just going to play almost everything I can on PlayStation. If it's a Game Pass release, I'll play it on the Xbox, or I'll play it on PC. And if it's something I really want, like Expedition 33 is a game I actually really want to own, I'm just going to buy it. So, but yeah, it's that I've kind of changed my mindset now, where it's like, well, like, I don't know what's going to go on. Like, I at this point, they're going to have a very compelling reason for me to buy another Xbox when it gets to that point. So, but I'd like to know in the comments below, what do you guys think? Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.